this coming Wednesday we will see the premiere episode of WWE's Cruiserweight Classic, a 32-man tournament. And, watching all the build-up, all the promotional stuff, including the very good bracketology show on the WWE Network, I'm actually very intrigued on the tournament, and I'm really... I really think this could be possibly a real highlight of 2016. First of all, a couple of thoughts about this tournament, and there are first of all, there's some great talents in this. There's some fantastic names from Akira Tozawa, Jack Gallagher, Tajiri, there's TJ Perkins, there's Rich Swann, there's Cedric Alexander, Kota Ibushi, amongst others. I honestly feel that if those guys get the opportunity to put on the matches they want and use the styles that got them even to the Cruiserweight Classic, we could see some really exciting stuff on this series. I also want to say that one thing about this is the presentation. First of all, the commentators, the presenters of the bracketology show this past week on the WWE Network, Daniel Bryan and Mauro Ranallo, they will be the commentators for this tournament, which is great because those two guys know the wrestling, so they'll be calling the holds, the moves. They'll have a lot of information about these guys, even if, and when we saw on the bracketology program right near the end when Triple H was talking about the tournament, and I have to say it's fun. Actually, it's quite a really good commitment, and already the stuff that Triple H is doing when it comes to finding new talent and developmental aspect of WWE. Triple H is making a really good contribution to WWE in this aspect, and I think he has to be applauded in that. We've got a few names that Daniel Bryan hasn't heard of. We saw it on the bracketology program, and I think for Triple H and the WWE to go around the world, literally, as we saw and we've seen the promotional stuff, to find these type of guys and find some of these actually worldwide stars, it's a really good thing for WWE, and I look forward to seeing how this tournament develops. Now, obviously, a couple of those guys, especially one Grand Metalik, they're not known under the names they are known worldwide, but it's the WWE thing. Now, there was one guy I was hoping that would be in this tournament, unfortunately, who isn't, and that's a guy I saw at last year's Hell for Lycra here in Dundee, called Kai Katana. Now, unfortunately, it turns out that he was just simply, he was an alternate for this tournament. Unfortunately, he's no longer needed, but hopefully this will get these kind of guys on WWE's radar, which is a good thing, and I think I'll talk about the end of this video. But first of all, I want to take a look at this tournament, thanks to the bracketology special on the WWE Network, which I thought, again, was really, really good. We now know the first round matches, and I'm not looked at to see whether, to see how far in advance the episode has been taped, and haven't looked at any spoilers, because I want to really know who wins and watch this tournament as it unfolds on the WWE Network as the programs are aired. That's how I want to experience this tournament. But hopefully these guys using their styles that they've used and that's got them to the tournament, I think we could see some really great tournament. Not just, as they said on the WWE bracketology special, when people think, and also it was actually repeated by Ricochet on, I think it was the Ross Report podcast this past week. Most people, when they think of cruiserweights, they think of the high-flying flips and dives of the Rey Mysterios, the Ricochets, the Psychosis, the cruiserweights that we have seen, and even to the modern day, guys. A lot of people think cruiserweight wrestling is just simply high-flying flips and dives and springboards, where I genuinely hope this tournament can show that cruiserweight, the smaller wrestlers, something which I've always been a fan of is cruiserweight wrestling, cruiserweight, lighter weight wrestlers, the smaller guys, they're not just all about the flips, the dives, the springboards and all that kind of stuff. It's about wrestling. There's different styles, and hopefully these matches will not just get about 5 minutes. These competitors will have the opportunity to show off what exactly they can do. Now, looking at some of the names of the tournament, again, there's some great names on it, and I'm going to go through the first round matches quickly, or at least look at these matches. First of all, as I'm looking at bracketology on the left hand side, I'm going to pick. To be honest, right, my opinion is, looking at a couple of these matches in the first round, I think you have to feel sorry for some of these competitors. I feel that some of the bigger names might dominate the tournament. I think we may see one or two upsets as the tournament goes on to make it a little bit less predictable, but some of these bigger names we may very well see actually pick up the wins over the lesser known, perhaps lesser experienced guys. I have to feel sorry for some of them. I think they'll only go as far as the first round. Looking at those, the brackets, I'm looking first of all on the left hand side of the bracket. Kenneth Johnson versus Akira Tozawa. Again, Tozawa I think go through. Jack Gallagher versus Fabian Richter. I think Jack Gallagher's got to go through. I thought, actually, I know who Jack Gallagher is. I've seen a few of his matches. I think it was Joe Coffey of ICW. They had a really good match, which is on the ICW on demand service. Is a really good technical wrestler. It was a really good technical match. He was kind of, I think some people think of him almost like a third vaudevillain, but he is a great, and he's got a little bit of a character as well, which helps these guys. And again, I'll talk about that more at the end of the video. Tajiri versus Damian Slater. Again, maybe Tajiri to go through. I think they're relying on guys like Tajiri and Brian Kendrick to really put on some good matches to help the interest of this tournament. Alejandro Saez versus Gran Metallic, aka Mascara Dorada from CMLL Mexico. You have to really think that some of the guys like Gran Metallic again would have to go through. Gran Metallic's got to win this first round, got to go through to at least the second or third round. Harv Shearer versus Drew Gulak, maybe Gulak to go through again, and we may see one or two upsets. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Tyson Dukes. Again, it's difficult to pick those. It's difficult in my mind to pick the winner for that. I would maybe go Zack Sabre Jr. He's doing tremendous things right now. Again, Tyson Dukes may be one of his last chance to go in, to make his way into WWE. Noam Dar, Israel heritage, Scottish wrestler, absolutely phenomenal, great talent, very well respected here in Scotland. He is. He will be facing Garth Shearer. I'd like to see Noam Dar go through it. I'm supporting Noam Dar in this tournament because he is one of the top young Scottish prospects. I've said before, there is several people involved in the Scottish wrestling scene right now that are reported, and very strongly reported and rumoured, to be on WWE's radar. And Noam Dar is one of them. Obviously they know about him because he's in this tournament. It's possible we may see a few guys from Scotland, or certainly the UK scene, go to WWE, or at least WWE try them out over the next while. So hopefully Noam Dar goes through. Daivari versus Ho Ho Lun. Again, I kind of like Daivari. I've heard some good things about him. He was on the Art of Wrestling podcast with Colt Cabana and quite some time ago. Colt Cabana speaks highly of him. Haven't really seen much of him, but he is apparently a good talent. Raul Mendoza versus Brian Kendrick. I saw Kendrick wrestle here in Dundee late last year. I thought he had a really good performance. He's a good wrestler, and to be honest, I was disappointed. He talks about it on the bracketology special. He was disappointed the way it turned out in WWE, and I was kind of disappointed as well. I really didn't like when he had the bodyguard, and when he was the Brian Kendrick, and the kind of hippie-ish, weird kind of gimmick. And I know that's quite him, but To be honest, I didn't like it. I thought he was a missed opportunity maybe for WWE. But he's a good wrestler. I look forward to seeing his match. Hopefully, he will get. I mean, he's 37 years old. He says on the bracketology, this may be a chance for him to get back into WWE again. I'll talk about that in a minute. Anthony Bennett versus Tony Nese. Not sure. I've not really heard of Bennett. Nese, supposedly another great independent star. Kota Ibushi. Again, you have to feel sorry for Sean Maluta. You cannot, again, and I know I'm repeating myself, but you cannot waste a guy like Kota Ibushi in a tournament like this. Kota Ibushi is a guy that I really strongly think WWE may be interested in, may come away with after this tournament. So, WWE's got to use him while they have him. I don't know what Kota Ibushi. I believe he went freelance in Japan at near the end of last year after recovering from injury. I really do feel that he could be a strong addition to WWE. So you've got to feel sorry for Sean Maluta. I think Sean Maluta, like several of the guys, will lose in the first round. Cedric Alexander. Now, Cedric Alexander brings up a very good point. I talked about Mauro Ranallo and Daniel Bryan being the commentators and them obviously knowing the wrestling moves, and they'll call the moves, they'll call the holds in this tournament. But one of the things is how this is being presented. It's being presented as a genuine sporting competition, and certainly the weight limit is actually a genuine thing in this tournament. As we saw on the bracketology special, there is a genuine weight limit of 205 pounds. Now, I believe it was, I may be wrong, but I'm sure it was Cedric Alexander. He cut around about 25 pounds in order to make the weight. Now, we see this all the time in boxing and mixed martial arts, where guys drop weight to make the weigh-in. Sometimes a few days before the fight, they're weighed in and they're not weighed again. This might be the case on this tournament. Who knows? We don't know whether these guys will be weighed again during the tournament. I kind of doubt it. So maybe guys like Cedric Alexander will be able to bulk up once again to rehydrate, because sometimes that's one of the ways of getting rid of weight is water weight. So you sweat it out, eat a lot less obviously, and some guys like Cedric Alexander, if they're not going to be weighed again, they may be able to eat more carbohydrates or follow a different diet, however it means, or work out a little bit more, whatever way they do to legitimately bulk their bodies up again, and therefore kind of regain a more comfortable body sculpture, a bit more of a body type that they're used to. Maybe maybe the amount of weight they've cut have left them weakened physically, and they can bulk up again and regain a little bit of the strength that they're used to using, which may benefit them in this competition. And I know some people never like that. Some people don't like the fact that some of the guys can bulk up, especially if their opponent is somebody who is maybe struggling to make the weight or has not really got the body type to be able to bulk up after the weigh-in, or hasn't got the ability to bulk up or recover those lost pounds that they've had to cut in order to make the weight limit to the fight. I know some people don't like that, but it may come into play as the tournament goes on. I don't know how it's been taped. I don't know what's been taped so far. I don't think all of it's been taped, but I'm going to watch it as it unfolds, as it's being broadcast. That's how I want to follow this tournament, and that's how I'm actually going to do it. So again, you want to feel sorry for Clement Patois. I think Cedric Alexander, although we will get probably one or two upsets in this tournament, I think Cedric Alexander will go through. The same with TJ Perkins and DeMac. I think again you've got to use TJ Perkins, former TNA star. One of the matches that I think has been put together to really gain interest for the fans is Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa. I think WWE are going to use this match, hopefully. Again, let these guys have more than just 5 minutes to wrestle. I think this could be an interest match. What I mean by an interest match is, I think they get these guys to put together a good match. I think they get Gargano and Ciampa to have a really good match, to really put the effort in, and have that as a kind of showcase match to show, well, this is what the tournament is all about. This is a really good match. Everybody should tune in because these are what the types of matches are like in the Cruiserweight Classic. A match to kind of showcase, to use the footage of, to try and gain people's interest, especially in those who we may see upset a slightly bigger star, who, an unknown, maybe like Maluta or Mendoza. If we see them upset a couple of stars as the tournament goes on, or maybe in the first round, we might see. To be honest, I think that's the way WWE might book it, as we see perhaps one underdog in the kind of mode of Daniel Bryan get an upset win and maybe get his way through to maybe not the final, but maybe into the semi-finals, almost Karate Kid like. We see an upset, a Rocky type situation in this tournament. Depends on how WWE book it. And also we see Mustafa Ali versus Lince Dorado. Maybe Lince Dorado to go through in that one. I'm not too known about, I don't know too much about Mustafa Ali, but Lince Dorado is, and I don't know a huge amount about him as well, but from what I've seen, he's a really good competitor. I've heard of him quite a while ago. I think there could be a really good match, and I think he might go through in that first round. So looking at the bracketology of this, we've got guys like Tozawa, Gallagher, Grand Metalik, Noam Dar on one side. We've got guys like Brian Kendrick, Tori Nese, Kota Ibushi, TJ Perkins, Gargano, Ciampa, and Rich Swann on the other. And Rich Swann versus Jason Lee. I think Rich Swann's surely again, and they've got to be a guy that's got to go through. So they've got some really good talents that are separated on both sides of the brackets that may not face each other. I don't know whether, as the series goes on, we may see other non-tournament matches as the field get less and less. We may see, as kind of a tradition in Japan, on some of these tournaments that they do, sometimes we get, obviously in the semi-finals and maybe the final, we get non-tournament matches, which would be, in my opinion, a great way of having these guys have another chance to show WWE what they can do, and show the fans what they can do. I think it would be a great attraction. Let the guys that haven't faced each other, who obviously eliminated at the quarter-final, maybe semi-final point, let them face each other, let them get the exposure. And that's one thing I want to talk about for a couple of minutes before I end. Triple H was asked about the future of these guys. He was asked about the future for these competitors, and he said, I don't know. Well, obviously, WWE will take in many factors when they look at whether they will sign any of these guys. Their attitude, their work rate, what WWE think of them, how well they'll fit in the WWE system as well. There's so many variables that WWE will actually look at in considering whether to sign these guys. There is a possibility that they may sign a few of these guys. I don't know whether we would see it an establishment of a cruiserweight division within WWE. I like to see it, maybe part of the draft. Maybe going later on this year, we may see a cruiserweight division being established. I think in the short term it would be good, certainly. In the long term, I'm not sure. If it was presented, in my opinion, if WWE was to sign a few of these guys and to bring back a cruiserweight championship, or they probably would name it the Cruiserweight Championship, or maybe the Junior Championship, or whatever they name it, whatever the title name is, doesn't really matter at this point. If they were to sign a few of these guys to WWE, whether it be on, probably would be better on the main roster, whether it be Raw or SmackDown, because we are coming up to the draft. If they were to bring back such a division, my opinion is that they would be best served by presenting it as a genuine sporting contest, a genuine sporting division. What I mean by that is by treating it as if it is real. and obviously pre-book the finishes of the matches, book who will face each other in matches, but I would like to see the Cruiserweight division, whatever it's called, be treated as almost a kind of Japanese respect thing, for it to be treated as, okay, we know this is sports entertainment, but when it comes to the Cruiserweight matches, this is real. This, it's not, obviously we know it's not real, but it's treated with the respect, and if again I forget the word, but it has the atmosphere of being real. It has that just that glow of being. It has that just the atmosphere of being an absolute real competition. We know that these other matches on SmackDown or Raw or whatever brand or whatever show it is, or pay-per-view, whatever network special, whatever you want to call it, we know that these are obviously sports entertainment. We know that these are sports entertainment, but this, the Cruiserweight, I think the best way of saying it is the Cruiserweight division is professional wrestling. It is real wrestling, and those guys go in and they really take it to each other. They really wrestle against each other in a serious manner. That's the way that if they do bring back any Cruiserweight stuff, if they do sign any of these guys, which is a possibility. Grand Metalik, I'm not sure about. I like Grand Metalik. He's one of my favourites in this tournament, if you can't already tell, because he's so talented. He is a great wrestler. Because I've followed international wrestling for many years, including the Mexican scene. Again, I've always been interested, always liked Cruiserweight, junior heavyweights, whatever you want to call them. I would like to see them portray it as a genuine competition, as a genuine thing, if they go ahead with any type of Cruiserweight, Super Junior, Junior Weight, whatever they want to call it, in WWE, come the end of this Classic. If they do sign any of the guys, I would like to see them bring back a Cruiserweight, even for a short time, even if it doesn't work out in the end, and even if in 2 or 3 years it fizzles out, as some of these things do, because WWE's not really ever had a genuinely successful Cruiserweight division. Not to the point where WCW had it. In the real prime of WCW, there was a great, and thankfully we could, because I find myself now looking at a lot of the Cruiserweight matches, a lot of the Luchador matches on the WWE Network, especially now as we have every episode of WCW Nitro available, and obviously all the WCW pay-per-views. I would like to see that happen. Whether it happens, I don't know, but I honestly do think, and I think Triple H was asked on the Bracketology show, I think that we may well see, or may be well seeing, a change in attitude in WWE when it comes to the smaller, more athletically gifted wrestlers. And again, I'm looking forward. Hopefully, we may see something permanent come out of this Cruiserweight Classic. Triple H said that this will not be one and done. I think he is hoping, certainly, and hopefully this will be a success enough to make it happen. We may see another one of these next year. I really hope they don't ruin it by having offshoots of heavyweight and maybe lighter heavyweight, or various weight classes throughout the year, because I think that would water it down, and I wouldn't really like to see other versions of this. I think just keep it as the Cruiserweight Classic. So one of the reasons why this Best of Super Juniors has worked for so many years, we do not get, they don't, New Japan Pro Wrestling don't water it down with heavyweight versions and other weight division versions of it. They have the G1 Climaxes, but they have other tournaments for the heavyweights that are part of the actual main organisation. And in the Best of Super Juniors, they have guys come in from the independent scene all across the world. And so I really hope that this is a success. This Cruiserweight Classic is a success. I'm looking forward to it. It's very intriguing. Again, if these guys get to use the skills and abilities that have brought them to the dance, that have brought them to this opportunity, I think we may see some really good matches, some fantastic opportunities for these guys. And again, one of the things I thought about was, even if some of these guys, they're not successful in the Classic tournament,
if they don't get signed by WWE, it's great exposure for them because they can use it on their promotional stuff. They can get them more bookings. They always have, they can always say, whatever happens, they can always say, I was part of the very first WWE Cruiserweight Classic, and whether it leads, if it doesn't lead to them working or being employed with WWE in the future, it brings up a lot of these guys' value just being involved. So, Cruiserweight Classic this coming Wednesday, July 13th. I'm looking forward to it. I'll look back when I can, probably Thursday night, will be the time I'm able to sit and watch it. I certainly will sit and watch that and here on my YouTube channel see what I think about the Cruiserweight Classic. But I'm really hoping that this is a success, that the guys really put the effort in, and again, this may very well be one of the highlights, in my opinion, of 2016 in professional wrestling.